I am your refuge and your fortress. I am the strong rock who holds your life. Your days are in my hands. I will keep you. Trust in me, for I am faithful and I am with you always. These words meet us exactly we are today. We rest on that promise. The God who walked with the psalmist David through every shadow is walking is with us too, surrounding us with love, filling us with hope, and strengthening us in mercy. This promise guides us as we honor and give thanks for the life of Sharon Helmuth, a beloved member of this congregation, a woman who shared her gifts, whose hands brought healing as a nurse, and whose sense of humor brought comfort and courage to those around her. When I think of Sharon, one of the first things that comes on my mind is her sense of humor. It was so natural for her, lighting and captivating the best possible way. She had a gift of breaking the ice with the people she had just met. I remember the first time I talked to Sharon. She made me laugh almost immediately. The tension I felt disappeared. I felt comfortable and I felt welcomed. That's why Sharon's gift. She opened the doors to connection, to welcome, to friendship. And I am very thankful to have experienced that from the beginning. One day, I announced that I was looking for someone to babysit my dog. To my surprise, Sharon offered to do it, even though she had never seen my dog before. This brought us close. The last time I visited her, I brought my dog with me. Her face lit up with one of the most beautiful and pure smiles I have never seen, and I could see the expression of her joy. I will always will keep that moment in my heart whenever I remember Sharon. As we get together today in the shout of God's presence to remember and give thanks for the gift of Sharon's life, let us rest in the shelter of God's presence, the one who has her refuge and strength. The God who held her days and who now holds us in everlasting peace. May this time together bring comfort, peace, and renew our hope as we gather this morning to give thanks for the life of Sharon Helmuth. Please pray with me. Holy and loving God, we come before you today with hearts full of emotions as we gather to honor and give thanks for the gift of Sharon's life. Receive our sorrow, our gratitude, and the stories that still make us smile, and the many ways she touched those around her. We trust that she is now fully embraced in your eternal love, fully at peace, and perhaps already making someone laugh in heaven. May you rest in you, O God, our refuge, our strength, and our ever-present help. In the name of Christ, our resurrection Lord, we pray. Amen.
Good morning. If you could turn in the blue hymnal to number 167, For God So Loved Us. And if you are able, I invite you to stand.
We are members of the Nursing Honor Guard, and we are here today to pay tribute to Nurse Sharon and her outstanding contribution to the nursing profession. There is no doubt that there have been many patients over the years who have benefited from her healing touch, thoughtful knowledge, and warm heart. A nurse is there to embrace the woes of the world and to offer hope. As we light the lamp, we celebrate what a beacon of light Nurse Sharon has been for all of those who needed it. The lamp is a symbol of all Florence Nightingale stood for: comfort, kindness, great gentleness, courage, and devotion. Perhaps deep down she knew even then that the light from her lamp would go on shining into the future. The Florence Nightingale Pledge is usually recited by nurses during their pinning or graduation ceremonies and reflects their promise to uphold the standards of the profession. We will recite the Nightingale Pledge and then perform a final call in honor of Nurse Sharon. dedication to nursing. We would like to invite all nurses to stand as we read the Nightingale Pledge.
I solemnly pledge myself before God and in the presence of this assembly to pass my life in purity and to practice my profession faithfully. I will abstain from whatever is deleterious and mischievous and will not take or knowingly administer any harmful drug. I will do all in my power to maintain and elevate the standard of my profession and will hold it in confidence, all personal matters committed to my keeping and all family affairs coming to my knowledge in the practice of my calling. With loyalty, I will endeavor to aid the physician in their work and to devote myself to the welfare of those committed to my care. You may now be seated.
Nurse Sharon, please report to duty. Nurse Sharon, please report to duty. Nurse Sharon, please report to duty. Nurse Sharon, thank you for your service. You are now relieved of your earthly duties. A nurse's prayer. Give me strength and wisdom when others need my touch. A soothing word to speak to them, their hearts yearn for so much. Give me joy and laughter to lift a weary soul. Pour in me compassion to make the broken whole. Give me gentle healing hands for those placed in my care. A blessing to those who need me. This is a nurse's prayer.
And the purple hymnal, Voices Together, number 601. And we will start with the verse. I am weak and need thy strength and power to help me over my weakness. Help me through Number 668 in the purple hymnal.
Morning. I'm Micah Helmuth. I am Sharon's second-born grandson and best-looking one. 32 years young, I'm still kind of thrown when it comes to death. It seems like, you start the experience with this is going to be completely horrible and everybody's sad and crying. But you spend a lot of time kind of reflecting on back, like things that were good, things that were wild. Not a lot of wild stories about my grandma. But I will say, thinking about it, she was probably the first culinary genius that I became aware of. Sharon was the inventor of the before bedtime cheese snack, in which she gave my brother and I, when we were probably 3 or 4, 4 and 5, full reign of the fridge right before bed. We were dumbfounded when we got home and realized that this wasn't something we could continue, which just I think is more of a shortcoming of my own upbringing. She was also the known inventor, to the best of my knowledge, of the Chips and Dip Recovery Act. And what this looks like is you have a little bit of dip left and your chips are gone. You have the crumbs in the bag. You dump them in the dip, you eat it with a spoon. I thought I came up with this, but my dad, Tim, reassured me, a couple decades later that no, Grandma, in fact, was the genius behind that. I think her greatest claim to fame, the invention that a lot of us Helmuth, especially if you've gone out to eat with Merv and Sharon over the years, her culinary addition was the half and half, which is a half Diet Coke, half regular Coke, because pick a reason. So, it's really hard to sit down in a restaurant and order a Coke and not immediately be tempted to kind of fulfill that culinary genius. One favorite pastime of my grandma, and this is something we're going to have to kind of dig into over the next couple of days or weeks or months, but photos in front of the house. If you have visited my grandparents during a certain era, and that era could be all the way from Polaroid to digital iPad, any kind of event that was taking place at the house, we were required to stand in good faith in front of the house, not making faces, to get a family picture. The nice thing about this is I'm sure somewhere there's a visual graph of just how much her grandkids grew over the years and which ones seem to have issues when it comes to making a straight face during a photo. We were regularly reminded, Micah, do you have to do that face in all of them? And the answer, yeah. And she put up with it, and, kudos to her. My grandpa and I have done a lot of projects over the years, and any of you who have tried to pal around with Merv, especially in the last 5 or so years, will understand that Friday mornings are not an option to pal around. And this is because my grandma has appointments on Friday. She's going to get her hair done. She's got to go to Cabin Coffee. And so I might be off work and have a project going, all the materials, and I just need the expert on site. And I knew that the expert wouldn't be available until he was, quote, done driving Miss Daisy for the day. The thing at the end that was really surprising to me, maybe it's just reassuring to me, is just how much of a tight-knit unit they were, especially at the end. And you realize, you got 2 nurses who have spent their lives taking care of others, and then at the very end, they do their best to take care of each other. And it's just a good reminder of what a very solid marriage with ups and downs can look like. And so that's something that I took with me from last Friday up until now. It's going to carry with me the rest of my life. Just a very solid relationship, caring relationship with its ups and downs, with its tubs of dips and chip, various dogs that come through, and then great grandkids that pop up on the scene.
Hello, I'm Jordan. I am not the public speaker. He is. So I am the firstborn granddaughter. More importantly, the only redheaded grandkid. Let me pull up my notes here. He just had 3 bullet points, by the way, and all of the talking part was from his own brain. Mine is all written out. All right. When you try to sum up somebody like my grandma, it feels impossible because she wasn't just one thing. She was a caregiver, a storyteller, a reader, a card shark, a breakfast enthusiast, and above all, a grandma who made everybody feel deeply loved. For 40 years, Grandma was a pediatric nurse, and if you knew her, it made sense. Caring for children wasn't just her job, it was who she was. She had a calm, steady presence and a natural ability to make people feel safe, whether they were patients, strangers, or her own family. I was very lucky. As the youngest grandkid for about 8 years, I got to spend a lot of time with Grandma. We spent lots of hours sitting at the table playing card games. Grandma had endless endurance, and I don't think she ever got tired of playing just one more round. And when we weren't playing cards, we were having tea parties. These weren't casual tea parties either. Grandma went all out. Elaborate setups, real cups, the full experience. She made those moments feel like they mattered and like our time together was very important. One of the places I remember most vividly with Grandma was the library. We spent endless hours there, wandering the aisles. I would always leave with a towering stack of books, far more than I could reasonably read before our next visit. Grandma loved books, journals, and learning so much that it felt natural to want to read everything in sight. Grandma also had a gift for connecting with people. She talked to strangers with absolutely no fear. And it wasn't small talk. It was genuine kindness. She would compliment someone's outfit or tell them how adorable their child is, and she meant every word. She had this way of making people feel seen, even if it was just in passing. And then there was her sneeze. If you knew Grandma, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Her sneeze was legendary, loud, disruptive, unmistakable. And it never happened just once. It was always 10, 11, 12 sneezes in a row. And somehow, it always happened at church. Always during a prayer. We learned very quickly to start counting just to see how many she'd get to that day. I like to think that if there's a church service happening somewhere right now, heaven is getting a very similar interruption. Grandma Sharon gave so much of herself to her patients, her family, and anyone lucky enough to cross her path. Her life was one of service, kindness, curiosity, and love. And while we miss her deeply, we are better for having been loved by her. I will always carry with me the sound of shuffling cards, the smell of the library, the memory of tea parties, and yes, her unforgettable sneeze. Those memories are a gift, and they always will be.
I will be speaking on behalf of our other sister, Zephyr. You may know her as Emma as well. She is in Phoenix, Arizona, and could not arrange transport. As I was thinking back to those memories of my grandmother, I thought back to the days where my dad would drop me off with her so very early so he could get to work on time. Back to the breakfasts we had at Fritz's with all her friends, and to entertain me, I would take their bills up to the cash register one by one and pay. And there, after breakfast, she would take me to the library where we would take our time looking through books and pick a movie for me to watch while she rested at home in her big comfy recliner chair while I sat in mine. To the summer times where we would go on walks to Shanklin Park, how she would hold my hand to keep me safe from cars. Though I'm fully convinced it was just training so I could hold her hand when she got older and less stable on her feet. Grandma always said that I walked so nicely beside her and didn't move around a lot, just how she liked it, and that I was such a big help. I'm not sure if she was losing her eyesight too, but Grandma, have you seen me walk? I look like I'm always wearing heels. How in the fall we would make leaf houses that always looked like big leaf floor plans, and after turn them into one big pile so I could jump in them. All the memories of the countless games of Sorry, to which I know if I'm on this square and I draw this card, I don't even have to count, just move. I didn't think I needed the King of Sorry title, but I'm taking it. I'm also all good on the game these days. I may not have fully understood her with her jokes, but she did have a big heart, and she did inspire me to always want to help others, whether that means holding the door for someone who didn't ask for it, or looking to help out someone who just might be struggling. So, Grandma Sharon, I hope you are able to find peace where you are, and know that you helped raise a kind, loving person. Love, your grandchild, Zephyr.
I will be reading from Sharon's favorite verses from Psalm 31. But I trust in you, O Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hand. Deliver me from the hand of my enemies and persecutors. Oh, how abundant is your goodness that you have laid up for those who fear you and accomplished for those who take refuge in you, in the sight of everyone. In the shelter of your presence, you hide them from human plots. You hold them safe under your shelter from contentious tongues. Love the Lord, all you his saints. The Lord preserves the faithful, but abundantly repays the one who acts haughtily. Be strong and let your heart take courage, all you who wait for the Lord.
I'll be reading Luke 14, 7 through 14. When he noticed how the guests chose the places of honor, he told them a parable. When you're invited by someone to a wedding banquet, do not sit down at the place of honor, in case someone more distinguished than you has been invited by your host. And the host who invited both of you may come to you and say, give this person your place. And then in disgrace, you would start to take the lowest place. But when you're invited, go and sit down at the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he may say to you, friend, move higher. Then you will be honored in the presence of all who sit at the table with you. For all who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. He said also to the one who had invited him, when you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers and sisters or your relatives or rich neighbors, in case they may invite you in return and you would be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind, and you will be blessed because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous.
My name is Becky Helmuth, and in addition to being Sharon's daughter-in-law, I've also had the honor of being her pastor for the last year. But before all that, when I started dating Todd in the fall of 1991, I was invited to a Sunday lunch at the Helmuth home. Sharon had made boneless chicken thighs, something I had up to this point never encountered before. Growing up, I only knew bone-in chicken thighs. So when I asked what it was we were eating, Sharon looked at me with this perfect deadpan timing and said, "Oh, that's squirrel." And so began my introduction into this family. But that moment captures something essential about Sharon, her ability to meet new situations and new people with humor that was disarming without diminishing. She could make you laugh while making you feel completely at home, even if you were the one being gently teased. And that's a rare gift, that kind of welcome. It's the gift of someone who knows that laughter creates space for belonging. Over the past weeks, as we've gathered around Sharon as a family, we have told stories. So many stories. And what emerges again and again is not just that Sharon was funny, although you've heard many times today that she absolutely was. You could see it in that ornery twinkle in her eye. What emerges is that Sharon's humor was an expression of her deep humanity, her refusal to take herself too seriously, and her instinct to lighten the load for others. One such memory is a perfect example of this. At family gatherings, Sharon had a habit of observing the chaos, the competing conversations, kids running through the noise, and then delivering a one-liner that would stop everyone in their tracks. Once during a particularly loud Thanksgiving, when everyone was talking over each other, making off-color jokes, Sharon looked up from her plate and said, "You know, silence is golden, but duct tape is silver." I've spent the last week with one of Sharon's well-worn Bibles. This was a daily devotional Bible that her son Tim had gifted her in 1988. It's a paperback NIV translation, held together with a big blue rubber band, a testament to the hours spent thumbing through its pages. It's the kind of Bible that shows the geography of a person's spiritual life through underlined passages and notes in the margins. You can tell what someone wrestles with, what they return to, what offers them comfort or challenge by what they mark. And Sharon was drawn to those passages about care for others, care for oneself. Many lines in the Psalms were underlined, those ancient prayers that give language to every human emotion: fear and faith, abandonment and presence, and grief and gratitude. In Psalm 31, as Melanie read, Sharon had underlined these words: "But I trust in you, O Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hand." My times are in your hand. Not just the good times or the easy times, but all of it. The ordinary days and the extraordinary ones, the seasons of strength and the seasons of weariness, the moments of clarity and the moments of confusion. This is the kind of faith that doesn't require perfection or constant certainty. It's the kind of faith that says, I don't control everything, and I don't understand everything. But I trust that my life, all of it, is held. Sharon knew what it meant to live that trust. She showed up day after day, year after year, in the ordinary work of caring for others. 40 years of night shifts at Goshen Hospital, decades of showing up at our library table on Sunday mornings, 60 years of marriage, 40 plus years of friendship with the same circle of friends. That kind of faithfulness doesn't come from having all of the answers. It comes from trusting that your times, your days, your years, your life are held in God's hands. Sharon sent greeting cards to her grandchildren for every occasion, and I mean every occasion. Birthdays and Christmases, of course, but also St. Patrick's Day and Labor Day, holidays you didn't even realize greeting card companies made cards for. That the grandchildren would open their mailboxes and find a card from Grandma Sharon, letting them know that she was thinking of them. It's such a small thing, really. Buying a card and writing a note, adding a stamp, walking it to the mailbox. But multiply that small thing by 5 grandchildren, times a dozen occasions over the year, times however many years, and you begin to see what faithfulness looks like. It is not just one grand gesture. It is showing up again and again in ways that say, you matter, and I remember you, You are held in my thoughts and prayers. That's what it means to trust that your times are in God's hands, to believe that the small, ordinary acts of love matter, that they add up to something, that they make a difference even when no one is keeping score. Now, Sharon underlined more passages in Luke than any of the other Gospels, in any of the other parts of the Bible, which makes a certain kind of sense. Luke was a physician, a healer. He paid attention to bodies and who was welcomed and who was excluded. In the passage Erica read from Luke 14 today is one that Sharon marked again and again. Jesus is at a dinner party watching people jockey for the best seats. And he tells them a parable about humility. And then he turns to his host and he says something even more challenging. When you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or rich neighbors, in case they may invite you in return, and you would be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you. This passage is about more than table manners. It's about who gets welcomed, who gets a seat, who belongs. It's about the kind of hospitality that doesn't calculate what it will get in return. It's about recognizing that in God's kingdom, the people we might overlook, the vulnerable, the ones who can't repay us, are exactly the ones we are called to welcome. Sharon spent 40 years working all of those nights in the pediatric unit at Goshen Hospital, caring for babies and young children and families who certainly couldn't repay her. But what strikes me is what that work required. Showing up when you're tired, being present in the hours that most people are asleep, attending to those who couldn't care for themselves. It was a sustained practice of seeing people, really seeing them and responding to their needs. Sharon brought that same attentiveness home. If you were at a family gathering, she would look at your plate, the mashed potatoes, the green beans, the pumpkin pie, and ask, where is the protein? And it didn't matter that you had a full plate. What mattered to Sharon was whether you had what you actually needed to sustain you. If one of the grandkids was extra cranky, she'd ask, have you had any protein today? So it became a family joke, this protein question. But underneath that humor was something serious. Sharon paid attention. She noticed when people were off kilter, and she knew that sometimes what looks like an emotional problem or a spiritual problem is actually a body problem. You're tired, you're hungry, you need care in the most basic physical sense. That is Luke's gospel in action. Bodies matter, people need tending, and sometimes the most pastoral thing you can do is make sure someone eats enough protein. One other passage Sharon underlined in Luke was the Magnificat, Mary's song when she learns she will bear the Christ child. My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God, my Savior. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things. Mary's song is revolutionary. It announces a world being turned upside down, where the powerful don't stay powerful and the lowly are lifted up. It is a vision of God's kingdom that centers those who are usually pushed to the margins. Sharon was drawn to this passage, and I think I understand why. She spent her life doing work that participates in Mary's vision, work that lifts up the lowly, that fills the hungry with good things, that makes sure people who might be overlooked are seen and cared for. 40 years of night shifts caring for sick babies. Sunday mornings at our church library desk, making sure everyone could access books and stories. Greeting cards sent faithfully to grandchildren. The protein question asked with humor but real concern. And they aren't grand gestures. They are these small, steady practices of someone who believed that everyone matters, that everyone deserves care, that the seemingly insignificant work of tending to others is actually the work of the kingdom. Mary's song and Jesus' teachings in Luke 14 echo each other. God's kingdom belongs to those we might overlook. The vulnerable deserve our attention. Care isn't optional, it's central. And blessing comes not from status or power, but from showing up for people who can't repay you. Sharon lived that gospel, and she lived it most faithfully in her closest relationships, in the 60-year partnership that shaped her daily life. Merv and Sharon were married for just 3 weeks and 1 day over 60 years. That's not just a long time, that's a lifetime. It's watching each other's hair turn gray and white. It's weathering losses and celebrating joys. It's learning each other's rhythms and quirks until you can finish each other's sentences. Because Sharon worked night shifts, she was also asleep during many days. And in the days before cell phones and instant messaging, how do you get a message to your spouse when there's something you need to tell them, information they need to have before you wake up? A reminder to take the trash out, put it by the alley. A note about removing the chicken from the freezer so it can thaw before dinner. You could leave a note on the table. But if you're married to Merv, and he's missed noticing your notes enough times, and if you are Sharon, you get creative. Sharon would write a note on a 3-inch square piece of paper for Merv, and she would tape it to a length of string, and then she would hang it in the doorway of the kitchen. So that way, when Merv came through the door, the note would bop him right in the face. That's what 60 years of marriage looks like. It's knowing your spouse well enough to recognize that a note on the table will not work, but a note that literally hits him in the nose might. It's the kind of problem solving born from decades of learning each other's patterns, and it's doing all of this with humor rather than frustration, maybe a little frustration. Making the solution itself a little bit funny, a small act of love wrapped in practical necessity. In a culture that often romanticizes love as a feeling, Sharon and Merv's marriage testifies to love as a practice. A sustained commitment, a choice made daily for 60 years. That kind of faithfulness is its own form of grace. Sharon leaves behind 2 sons who carry her sense of humor and her ability to brighten a room. She leaves behind 5 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. She leaves behind friends who will miss her at the card table and the lunch table. She leaves behind a church community that benefited from her quiet service, her faithful presence, and that ornery twinkle in her eye. But she also leaves behind something harder to quantify: the memory of having been someone who showed up year after year, choosing care over convenience, faithfulness over ease, welcome over exclusion. At the end of Jesus' teaching in Luke 14, he says something striking: "You will be blessed because they cannot repay you." There's a paradox here. We usually think of blessing as something we receive when we've earned it, or when we are owed something in return. But Jesus said we're blessed precisely because there's no repayment. Sharon lived that paradox. She showed up at bedsides in the middle of the night for children who would never remember her. She showed up at the library desk week after week for a congregation that maybe wouldn't even notice if she had stopped. But she showed up with greeting cards and protein questions and humor that made room for belonging, not because she was obligated, but because she chose it year after year. And in showing up again and again, without calculating what she would get in return, she participated in the kind of kingdom Jesus describes. A kingdom where everyone has a seat at the table, where the vulnerable are welcomed, where love is freely given, and where faithfulness is its own reward. At the end of Psalm 31, after affirming trust in God, the psalmist writes, "Be strong and let your heart take courage, all you who wait for the Lord." Sharon's life was marked by strength and courage. The strength to keep showing up when you're tired, the courage to welcome others with humor and honesty, the faithfulness to tend small tasks that hold communities together. She knew what it meant to say, "My times are in your hand." She trusted that God held her through the ordinary days and the extraordinary days, through long night shifts and longer years. She trusted that the work of caring for others, even when they couldn't repay her, was holy work, was kingdom work, the kind of work that makes people whole. Her times were in God's hands. And now, after 83 years of paying attention, of caring for others, of reading and writing and laughing and loving, Sharon rests in those same hands. We give thanks for her life, and we grieve her absence. And we trust that the God she served with such steady faithfulness holds her still and holds us too with tenderness and grace. Be strong, let your heart take courage, and may we live with even a fraction of the humor and care and faithfulness that Sharon embodied. Thanks be to God.
Number 626 in the purple hymnal.
On behalf of the family, we would like to invite all of you to join us in the fellowship hall for lunch. As we close the prayer, we would like you, please take this moment, take this pause to think that we are not alone. For the Helmuth family, God is walk with all of you and grant you with peace. Pray with me. God of all comfort and compassion, we thank you for the gift of this time together, for the stories and memories shared, for the love that continues to unite us with Sharon and with one another. We ask your blessings upon the food before us as we share this meal. May our time at the table become a place of comfort and healing. Now walk with us as we leave this place, surrounding us with your peace. Sustain us in the days to come when the pain is intense. Grant us moments of grace that remind us that we do not walk this path alone. We entrust Sharon to your eternal care, grateful that she is now embraced in your perfect love. May the love of God go before you and sustain you each morning. Go in peace, go in grace, go in hope, under the protection of God's unfailing hands, in the name of the one who resurrects us. Amen.